Well, how the hell are all of y'all doing today? Welcome back to the YBO podcast. This is episode 5, which will officially wrap up our series of introductions to all of the boys. Today we sit down with Old Man Hicks, Mr. Clayton Hicks, and he is going to give us a little bit of an introduction to himself. We hope you guys enjoy, and let's just jump on over into it. Clayton, nice having you here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Well, we'll start off with just go ahead and introduce yourself and, who you are, kind of what you do, and then, like, you as an outdoorsman, where did that start? What is some of your favorite things about being an outdoorsman? Stuff like that. So
Yeah, definitely. My name's Clayton, and I grew up here in Wichita, Kansas. I went to high school with Austin and the guys, and here in Wichita, I work at a credit union, just as a personal banker. So I got started in the outdoors. I got started hunting and fishing, really, because my father was a big hunter and fisherman, and he really just taught me most of what I know, but then also my uncles taught me a lot too, and so I really got a lot of my passion for the sport and outdoor sports from them.
Mm-hmm. And so you mentioned hunting, and you're also big on fishing too, right?
Yeah.
So out of the two of those, do you think you have a preference?
No, I really don't. I enjoy them both in their season.
Mm-hmm.
My main hunting hobbies are, I like to turkey hunt, I like to deer hunt, pheasant hunt, quail hunt. Quail and pheasant kind of go together, I guess, but then duck hunting as well. Those are the main ones. I do a lot more deer and upland bird hunting than I do the turkey or waterfowl, but I enjoy them quite a bit. And then during the summertime is when I do a lot more fishing, and that goes from just like pretty much local pond hopping for bass and occasionally targeting catfish for fun, all the way to trout fishing and fly fishing. I've really come to love fly fishing a lot. My dad got me started in that when I was in 6th or 7th grade, and each year that I go, I just get better and better, and it's more and more fun.
Mm-hmm. And I know you mentioned fly fishing, and it just made me think about this. But I know I posted this picture on the website under the trophy room, but the one where you like took the picture, and as you press click, boom, the fish like jumped out of your hand.
Oh yeah, man,
and
that
it's
was
like midair, but you're like big old cheesing grin.
Yeah, that was a great photo. That was of a little, just a little brook trout, I believe, in Colorado. Almost all of my fly fishing has been exclusively in Colorado. That's just where my family goes to vacation a lot, and my dad and I started fishing there on the Arkansas River. But yeah, that photo was so fun. I just caught that little guy, and I just was taking a quick photo with him, and right as my finger was pressing the button, he must have squirmed right out. And if you haven't handled a trout, they're pretty slimy, and they're pretty squirmy, and they're not easy at all to hold on to, especially if you're trying to hold them with care.
Yeah.
So.
No, I just remember you sent that picture to all of us, and I remember every single one of us was just dying, because it's not even like a reaction of like, oh crap, the fish jumped out. It almost looked like you intended on it, because your face is like any other kind of picture with something you've got. So,
yeah.
Speaking of fly fishing, I will tell you, you guys should definitely try to go down to the coast and hit up the bays down there. I haven't personally done it. I kind of wish I would have done it while I was down there, but I really didn't know anybody who did fly fishing.
Right.
But damn, dude, some of the people that go down there and some of the fish they catch is insane. And it's like, that's a big thing down there, is fly fishing.
Definitely. No, the coastal fly fishing is kind of a niche of the sport that I haven't even really thought about exploring yet. my equipment's not even close to ready to be down there. It's almost like another style of fishing in itself, but it's still fly fishing, and I'm sure it's still a ton of fun, and I'd love to do it. And it's super sight based, and a lot of fly fishing is sight based, but some of it too isn't, and a lot of what I do in Colorado may or may not be targeting certain fish. It's just trying to throw to a certain eddy or throw right behind a certain rock, and you may or may not see the fish behind that rock, but they're there, and you just try and get that fly right in the front of their face, and hopefully you'll get a bite. And so that saltwater fishing is a lot more like you see a fish and you go after that fish.
Yeah.
And it's a lot more technical and skills based, and it's really neat.
Yeah. So yeah, if you ever get a chance, man, we definitely need to even go and film that experience, because I bet that would be cool. I've seen some people drag out some massive redfish, and I'm like, how the hell did that fly rod hold on to that fish?
Oh, dude, that's the fun of a fly rod, is especially when you get the bigger fish on a fly rod. You just are fighting it and trying to be gentle and trying to be finesse, but not let the fish, get 100 yards away from you and taking out line. So
yeah,
it's a good time.
Kind of in this direction to kind of what I asked previously, but even more narrow. Of all the hunting, all the fishing you've done, if you had to choose, or hunting, fishing, whatever other outdoor activities you'd like as well, but if you had to choose one activity, and I mean, even if you're in hunting or fishing, one type of fishing or one type of hunting, if you had to narrow it all down to just one that you could keep, that was the last one you get to do, which one do you think you would do?
I think it would be bow hunting for deer. I think bow hunting for white-tailed deer specifically. Here in Kansas, we're one of the best states you can bow hunt for deer. One of the best whitetail states in the country. Yeah. It's just such a challenge, and deer are such a formidable animal to try and pursue with a bow, and you have new experiences every hunt. Every afternoon is different from the other, and it's always challenging, and I really enjoy that. It keep me busy for a long time.
Fair enough. All right, to change gears here, going into talking about the group as a whole, YBO, why did you want to get involved with helping to create this group?
And, I just really enjoy the fact that we have so much fun doing it together, and we don't have to shoot a bunch of birds or be super successful to just have a ton of fun. And that's really what it's about, is having fun together and enjoying creation and enjoying what God's given us. And I know that with the guys I can share that enjoyment of creation and those early morning sunrises together, and just the jokes and the laughter and the fun that we have together is so worth it. That's really why I like being a part of YBO. And we started doing this really naturally. We did it together as friends, and now we're just kind of adding another little piece to it, but it doesn't change a lot for us. But I just love doing it with friends. I think that's a lot of what hunting is for me, is doing it with friends and family. If it weren't for friends and family and I was just doing everything solo, I probably wouldn't do nearly as much, just because I enjoy the camaraderie. I enjoy the guys, and our appreciation of the outdoors, our appreciation of what God's given us is mutually enjoyable. And the guys, we all respect the outdoors. We all cherish it. We want to further conservation. We want to further good management practices. We want to be good stewards of the land and what we've been given.
Right on. And carrying that over a little bit, sounded like you were gradually starting to touch on it, but overall, like into the future, what do you kind of hope can come from this? Are you just wanting to do it for fun and getting to share these kind of experiences, or do you want it to start reaching people and maybe even like when I was talking to Keaton, he really liked the idea of it reaching certain people and educating them on like the outdoors and maybe how to get into it or stuff like that, you know?
Yeah. I really just want this to be a fun kind of endeavor for us to maybe share our experiences with more people. And just so that people can see that, it doesn't take a bunch of money to enjoy the outdoors. And we're not out to make a bunch of money either. I honestly don't think we may not make any money at all. And that's perfectly fun for me and for the guys. And it's all about the experiences, and you can have experiences with simple Walmart stuff in the outdoors and have a ton of fun with your friends. And I also just want to educate people that, the outdoors is accessible for everyone, and it's important for everyone. Even if it's not hunting and fishing, your parks and trails and the outdoor spaces we have are important, and we need to do all we can to protect them and preserve them, and make sure that our kids and our kids' kids can enjoy outdoor spaces and can enjoy the renewable resources of wildlife and fish and game, and can enjoy, we've passed something on to them, and can appreciate the North American model of conservation. I want people to appreciate that and enjoy it. And I want people just to share their experiences with us. I love seeing people's pictures of their success in the outdoors and their enjoyment of that. So I really would love for it to become a community of people who just share the outdoors together.
Right on. And then one more question that I have for you is, as an outdoorsman, of all the experiences you've had, and this doesn't have to be the tip-top best one ever, but do you have a good or one of your favorite memories from the outdoors? And like I said, it doesn't have to be hunting, fishing. It could literally be anything. You went on a hike that was incredibly memorable, but what is one of your best memories as an outdoorsman?
Well, I think my number one best memory that I just will never forget is the first couple years really of deer hunting that my dad started to take me deer hunting with him was just so memorable and such a great start to the outdoors for me. I was like 8 when I started hunting, and I hunted the youth season when I was 8, and I hunted some I think in the antlerless season, and as a kid, cold affects you a lot when you're a kid, and you don't know how to kind of grit your teeth and get through it, kind of like you might when you're older, and so you're just a lot more susceptible to sitting in one spot and being patient. And then on top of that, the nerves and the jitters and holding a gun and shooting a gun, it's all new and it's all nerve-wracking. And my dad was just, so patient with me and all those things. And he really was a good father to me in that area, in that regard of teaching me things about deer hunting. And so there were times, those first few years of hunting, when I would shoot, many times really, when I would shoot and miss. I think I shot 13 shots total before I killed my first deer.
Damn.
All clean misses. And
weren't even close. You were just like, I missed, man.
And just I think, a couple times I shot multiple times. So it was like, 13 shots wasn't at 13 separate deer necessarily, but, my dad had worked to put me on these deer, and we were in position within 150 yards, and I was like, okay, I can do it, and then just screwing it up. And, that I would just be sad and disappointed, and my dad would just be happy and glad that I was doing it and glad that I was having fun, and he'd encourage me. And so finally, when I was 9, We went out for youth season in Kansas, which is in early September, and we went out and I shot a doe in the morning. This doe came out about probably like 70 yards away, and I shot this doe and we recovered it, and that was just like, wow, that was just an amazing feeling. But even better than that was in that afternoon, my father and I went out and out in western Kansas around in the Kiowa County area where we hunt is a lot of open farmland. It's a lot of pasture. It's a lot of ranching land. It's not heavy timber. It's hardly any timber at all. And what we hunt out there is mostly thickets and cover and CRP grass that we can find inside these draws. Deer love to hide in there, and they live in there year round, and they feed off of those ag land around them, and so that's a lot of the area we're hunting in. It's pretty open, and other than these draws and these thickets, there's not just a ton of obvious cover. So where we were hunting this one day was on this pretty big ranch, and we saw this draw that had a nice thicket in the bottom of it, and we figured that there may be deer traveling up that draw from a river bottom. You hunt river bottoms anywhere and everywhere, you can hunt them. A river bottom's always a good travel corridor, but we thought there might be deer traveling up that, or there might even be deer bedded in that draw. And so we sat up, sitting right next to a cedar tree on a hill, overlooking this draw and these thickets. Well, lo and behold, it was about 5:30 or so, and a nice 11-point buck stood up, and he was, that thicket, it was probably 140 yards away, and I just got to take my time, and we watched him, and he was actually taking a poop, and my dad had me wait until he finished taking his poop.
Oh.
And I put it on him, and I shot and dropped that deer, and I actually ended up hitting that deer in the neck. He died right away. He dropped, and oh man, we were just full of joy and just excited for that moment, and that was a moment of fulfillment, and that a first time shooting a buck, and it was such a nice deer. And at the time, it was a bigger deer than any of my uncles had ever killed. I held the biggest deer in the whole family. It was a 11-point buck, and it scored 136 inches, and I'm still proud of that deer to this day. And yeah, at the time, it was the biggest one that any of my family had ever killed, and so I just got to brag about that deer and show off and show pictures of that deer forever. And it seemed like I enjoyed that deer for, I still enjoy that deer.
Yeah, I was about to say.
I really got to enjoy that deer really well for the first couple of years there. And we even, gutted it and put it in the back of my dad's pickup truck. And I drove to school, and my dad brought it to school the next Monday. And we showed it off at recess, and that was pretty fun. And I got that deer mounted, and so that's really neat. That's the only deer I have full on mounted, so I cherish that a lot.
Yeah, I mean, hey, an 11-pointer isn't a bad first buck, especially getting mounted and all that. So.
Oh yeah, and I've shot a couple deer that are bigger since then, but I'm still, I'm proud of all the deer I've shot, but that one was extra special.
Yeah, well, I mean, that buck I just got recently, being my first deer, I mean, it was still a really handsome 8-pointer, but I don't think there's ever going to be many deer, if I get more chances, that'll ever beat that guy. Because it's like...
Yeah, man, that was a nice deer.
Your first deer...
That's a good first deer.
Yeah. So.
But, we do live in Kansas, so if you go out much more, there's a chance. There's a good chance you could get a bigger one, but that's a nice deer.
I would say I feel very confident that I'll get a chance to get a bigger one.
Yeah.
But I just don't think it'll ever live up to the feeling of getting that. And, I mean, obviously, my first deer and my first buck were one and the same. A lot of people I know got does, and then they got their buck. But I got to that was like how I started it. And so I don't think much can beat a real handsome 8-pointer as your first deer. Period. You know.
Right.
So, but yeah, that feeling of the first buck is. Woof, but
it's special.
An 11-pointer is that's something to be proud of for sure.
Oh, he was nice.
So
yeah, I was a spoiled 9-year-old. That's for sure.
Yeah, no kidding. But
I'd say I have one other little story that was real comparable to, as far as memorableness of my first ever duck hunt was with my uncle in Oklahoma, and that year I had gotten a little 20 gauge for my birthday, and I had just really wanted to go duck hunting really bad. My uncle is a big duck hunter, and so he decided to take me to one of his best spots, and it's some flooded timber that gets flooded at the end of every year, and it was around December because I was there for Christmas, I believe, to visit my grandma and grandpa, and I didn't have any waders or anything, but thankfully this stuff wasn't too deep, and so my uncle got me some big trash bags. We took 2 trash bags.
Oh no!
And we put them over my feet, but underneath my boots. And so I put the trash bags over my feet up to my knees. They weren't even higher than my knees. They were smallish. And then we taped those trash bags to my knees, and then I put it on my boots, and we went out to the marsh, and thankfully it wasn't super cold, and I think I just wanted it so bad. I wanted to hunt so bad that I was just gonna ignore the cold anyway, even though I was still young. But anyway, he was going to the trouble of taking me, so I wasn't gonna wimp out.
Yeah.
And my uncle was a real encouraging guy too. He always enjoyed taking me, even though I'm sure I was a pain in the butt to take with. So we get out there and we sit under this tree, and I was like 10, and I was wearing glasses at the time, and man, that was a good morning of duck hunting. They were just falling right into where they were supposed to, and my uncle was calling them in, and we got 7 or 8 ducks that morning between us, which wasn't a limit, but man, I thought we did some shooting because that was a great morning. And I remember shooting one duck right above us in that tree, and the duck fell through the tree, and blood splattered on my glasses.
Oh man!
And I exclaimed to my uncle, "I got blood on my glasses!" And he still remembers that, and we laughed about that. And it was so funny back then. I did a lot of shooting with that little 20 gauge, but if you've ever shot at a greenhead mallard, they're a big duck, and that little 20 gauge, I think I had like 6 shot in it or something, and it wasn't BBs, and it's hard to shoot a duck with a 20 gauge with 5 or 6 shot. So
almost one of those you would shoot, and then your uncle would shoot the duck for real,
totally,
and be like, "Oh, you got that duck," and you're like, "Yeah,
100%, yeah." I'd shoot, and you could. There was some times when I was water swatting a duck, and I'd shoot, and you'd see the pellets around it, and the duck would fly up and not be fine, and my uncle would shoot it, but no, I think my uncle maybe shot all those ducks that day, but I might have gotten 1 or 2, but it was sure fun. I'll remember that for the rest of my life.
I mean, yeah, like when Kendall and I were talking, and he was kind of doing his little introduction episode, we got into no, actually, it might have been one of the other episodes we were filming, but we started talking about my first duck hunt. And it wasn't trash bags, but it was the whole wader story where I had the freaking hole in the damn waders, and the whole time I'm like, guys, my feet feel wet, and they're like, dude, that's how it's supposed to feel. It's like cold, like the water makes your waders hug you, and so it feels like it has a wet sensation. I was like, but guys, I don't know, this really feels wet, and sure as shit. Later on, completely flooded in there, but
man. That's just one of the funniest things ever. I still laugh about that.
Yeah, I mean, as I described the story, we had a great day of duck hunt. We didn't get a limit for 3-man, but we got close or something like that.
Yeah.
It was like teal season, so it was right when duck season started, and it was my first duck hunt. So, I mean, we got like a decent number of birds, but if we would have gotten skunked and it would have been a miserable day, that was the other thing. It was a gorgeous day, so it was like one little thing about the hunt made it just funnier and more memorable, I guess.
Yeah.
But
Well, that's the nice thing about teal hunting is you get those nice September days. They can be in the 70s at least a lot of times. Sometimes hotter than that.
Yeah.
But, I'll tell you what, my trash bag stood up. I did not get wet that hunt. Amazingly enough.
Oh my god. Maybe that is just a secret. If you don't have the money to go put into waders, because waders can get freaking expensive.
Definitely.
But if you don't have the money, then trash bags seem to be the
right.
So I know film gear wise, I've been in multiple occasions where I've been working on any number of shoots and trash bags are the secret. We just have trash bags ready to go, and rain's coming. We just cover the camera, and it never gets wet. So
yeah, I think the proper outdoorsman should always keep quite a few trash bags in the car. They're just so handy.
Yeah,
I keep a thing of trash bags in mine, but
maybe that's just a secret tip we need to start giving people. I never knew you did the trash bag.
Right. Well, no one wants
to
buy kids waders, man.
That's
kids
fair.
just gonna outgrow them real quick. So it wasn't like my uncle was gonna get me some waders, or that my dad or anyone else was, because I would have outgrown them in a year.
Yeah.
And then waders any pair of waders somewhat expensive. So.
Mm-hmm. But if you have the money for them, they're a good investment.
Yeah, especially the higher up. Waders are one of those items where you get what you pay for, and so if you spend some more money on some nice waders, they ought to last you for a good long time.
Yeah, for sure. Alrighty, buddy. Well, we're running out of time on here, so I'll let you get going. But thank you for jumping on here with us and talking to us a little bit about yourself. And we'll see you on the next episode, all right?
All right, thanks.